Hey everyone, welcome to another one of our Deep Dive Dev Talks. I've got here with me one new face.
My name is Aldís Amah Hamilton. I play Rin, and I have been with the company for, I think, almost 7.5 years?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Since, April 2018.
Since the olden days.
Yeah. Since the attic.
Besides, I'm sure most people know your face already because you are prominently in our trailer, as you should be.
I feel like I was already past anxiety when it came out. I feel like that was like maybe 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So at this point, I felt relief and a lot of excitement. Usually I'll be more anxious because, you'll have shot something just like a year before and it's out. Yeah. But this has been so long in the making that I've just gotten used to the idea. And I would rather say I was excited because I think everyone had kind of just thought we'd gone away. So I was like, no, we're still here.
Yeah, no, we're still here.
Yeah, we're still here.
Like you'd record something with us and then you go away for a year and then you come back and there's something that we've made with your face and your voice. And
I think what actually surprised me is just the fact that, we actually have that much material. It just doesn't, I guess, time flies when you're having fun.
And it's also been a lot of that throughout the whole process. Yeah. So, because we recorded stuff back in 2019, and then you go away for a year, and then you come back, and we're like, look, we're changing a bunch of stuff, or we're doing stuff over again, or we need you for new things. Here's the stuff we've been working on.
Because I remember seeing it for the first time and being like, this is incredible. And that was probably 2018 or 2019. It's like, holy how can it go further than this? And now looking back,
oh my God, it's
very
so
rudimentary.
Weird.
It's so weird, but still good.
Yep.
Still beautiful though.
And this goes for more things. I sometimes still have to dig for old voice lines, and sometimes I find some of your old voice lines from some of our first recordings, and the quality's worse. The character is different. But
her core has remained the same. She's still, she's still a tough cookie. She's kind of an outsider, a vestige in her own home, and still very isolated. So that never changed. What has changed is her, everything around her, the entire storyline did.
When we're writing scenes for her and stuff, a lot of the time it's about trying to find how Rin's approach would be direct into solving a problem. A lot of the scenes we're doing is something has come up, and Rin is then like, all right, this is what I'm doing now. And she gets very hyper-focused on how to fix whatever has happened to a certain degree.
It's been a discovery process in so many ways, I think, for all three of us. Mm-hmm. Just from the first scene, I remember you even auditioning. We still have the recordings of that audition.
You have a very simple decision to make. Get out of my way or die.
Yeah, in the kitchen, in the attic. In the attic kitchen.
You punched me in the
hard.
In the leg.
I can't. Alistair will kill me if I tell you anything.
He was limping for a week or something. Just hobbling around the attic. That attic was dangerous. We had those cross beams people hit their head on.
But it was arguably, as you say, the same core, even in that scene.
I think there's also something, the core still remains that she is a combat tool. Yeah. So you can't be one without having certain attributes.
Sort of determination, grit.
Grit, focus.
Yeah.
When we're on set, and this kind of goes to both of you, because we've done a lot of work together on set during MoCap. Mm-hmm. Where do you seek for references? Do you look to film or stage or to other specific video games?
I know Mike Bodie had this saying that I thought was really telling when he was talking about MoCap acting. He says it's stage body, movie face.
Yeah.
So if you're on stage, you have to do these sort of larger performances for the people in the back. Uh-huh. And if you're on film, you have to constrain everything because the camera might have a thin focus plane. You have to be locked into a certain spot. And he says you kind of have to do the same in MoCap. Your body has to be these sort of big, tense things.
Oh.
But when you're doing facial performance, you really have to tone it down. Because if you're doing stage performance and the camera is going to be all on you, you're kind of going to come off a little comedic almost.
Oh, that's a very good one. And I think I agree with it. Obviously, there's a physicality that maybe you wouldn't see as much on film, which is more like an archetype, like the way she walks and the way she moves.
But when you walk, you walk very different.
Yeah,
from
I do.
Aldís, yeah.
I do. It's very different. Yeah. I think I just go back to almost something academic that I maybe read or studied at some point, and if a person goes through this and this is the person's personality trait, then most likely, put that in a pot and most likely they will react this way. Do we want to try something very different and have them surprise themselves or surprise, the player? Or do we want to do exactly what you kind of expect this person to do? And I think that's very often like the line we have to toe.
I think with this answer, it also highlights something that I've noticed a lot when we're working, especially with you and with Kalli, who's playing Abram, are writers.
Yeah.
And you wrote, co-wrote or wrote a TV show.
Not us together, but
No.
yes. But I have.
You have Black Sands.
Yeah, and he did Spookstone, of course.
And he did Spookstone and wrote for years and years. So there's a certain amount of writer-to-writer dialogue that happens in our studio that I don't think I do often when I'm working with actors who haven't written. You're talking about reference, or we talk about Stanislavski or something. But with you and Kalli, we're often just talking about the facts.
Yeah.
We're talking about this just happened, this happens next, and then we all approach it like writers to a degree.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, acting is reacting, and it's just like, how would this person, like, if you have, I mean, I'm not going to say if you've done your due diligence in your work, because that's just, I feel like that's very preppy. But I mean, after 7 years, you would kind of think I would know how she would react. Yeah. So,
do you recall a moment where that started to be a question you could ask yourself, where she became more real to you?
I think it might actually have been during the writing process, because I was allowed to read the stuff you guys had already written after you completely overturned the story. Yeah. And I was allowed to bring my input. And I think at that point, I both felt the trust and I also felt this, I guess, kind of need to, like, I'm pretty certain I need to be able, I need to read through it and spot, okay, I just don't think she would do it this way, or I think she would do it that way. So I guess at that time, I kind of integrated with her.
We took a big change in the script.
Yeah.
We sort of restructured the whole thing because it was getting to be, we were having difficulty turning the story that we had into a game.
Yeah.
And so we sort of had to take a step back and figure out, is there a way that the story and the game can both meet closer?
Right.
And at that point, we brought an outline to you fairly early on. We really attacked it. We were like, can we, and none of the major pieces I think shifted when we brought you in, but there was a lot of okay, can we take this scene and can we take this moment here and can we get this reaction in sort of to mold the character arc again into it.
I mean, nothing changed in the story. That's completely the way it was. I think it's just, it was just finessing her and perhaps other characters. I remember us having meetings upstairs in the room, with notes and scribbling down stuff. But I think the reason why it clicked that way is because we'd already shot so much. We'd shot almost an entire game, and yes, she was very different. But I'd already done the work at that point of getting to know her. So when she's still, again, she had this core. It was kind of easy to just okay, well, if that Rin were to enter this situation, I kind of know what you would do because we've already done it.
And we all like that Rin, so we love that Rin. We want to carry that forward.
Wanted to make a game for that Rin.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because the original story also had Rin was not as central to it as the new game is. So we kind of we ended up kind of building a whole world and a whole cast, and we built really wide. And in the big rewrite that we did there in 2022, 23, is that we kind of managed to take all the width we have and just stack it to get this kind of core focus on who Rin is and make the story about her, make sure the supporting cast supports her.
I'm glad it's now official that I was not the one who was like, it's not enough about Rin. We need to cut these people out. It has now been said, it wasn't me.
I still want to keep digging into this because the process of bringing a character to life on screen is a really fascinating one. You and Rin are not very similar personalities.
I would hope not.
Is there a part of portraying Rin that is particularly challenging?
It's not that we're that dissimilar. It's just, I think there are so many things I relate to, and in another world, I would probably have been the same, I would probably have, I am the kind of person who disassociates easily and I can put up a wall very quickly. And I think that resonates with me in many ways, but also, I just live in the actual world and I know how to engage with people, and I have received a lot of love my entire life. So I think, it's maybe that's also why when I auditioned, it just kind of felt quite natural, because I recognize those traits, but I just haven't, they're not traits that I have kind of evolved with. I don't think there's anything I can really think of where I was like, oh God, I would never have done that. Not with Rin. I know what you mean, because I've done it with other characters for sure, but...
Would you say it's like an aspect of you? Because I relate to that.
Yeah, it is. And I think there was a time where I was a lot more closed off, and I was a lot more maybe... I saw things more black and white than I do now, which is very much, I think, how Rin operates, and I think that's also just, in general, people who, do this kind of work, whether it's army work or, whatever, where you kind of just have to put things in boxes and just see them very simplify things. Mm-hmm. I think that's something, if you can't relate to it, I think you're lying.
Yeah.
Because I relate to this in terms of like finding parts of me whenever I'm writing a character, and I'm certain you do too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like when we're writing scenes and it's Rin and Abram, these are like two parts of my brain talking. Mm-hmm. And like there's the more nerdy version and the more like action or like I want to do stuff or ambitious version or whatever it is, and you make them argue. Well,
can I ask a question? Yeah, both of you, is there a character? I mean, yes, you said Rin is a part of you, and of course all of the characters are part of you guys, but like, is there another character where you're like, yeah, that would probably be like me, close enough to me? I know there aren't that many to choose from, but...
There's a fun answer to this question, which is that whenever we're doing read-throughs, I'm Rin and he's Abram.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could definitely see you as an Abram.
We do, when we have to do like temporary dialogue, because we have to playtest things, and there needs to be something in the level so that the level designers know roughly what we're talking in terms of narrative. So a lot of the times we had to record bits, and then he's Rin and I'm Abram. There was a point where 5 different voices were Rin in the game, because we needed to test something, and it was like, okay, Victor, can you go record a thing for the combat barks, because like she needs to say something when she's fighting, and we don't have Aldís to do it yet, so he records a bit.
But you're a good Rin, I'll tell you that.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
You're like Hot Topic Rin.
Yeah. like my career here would be in danger if you were any better.
I think all of our careers here might be in danger if I was Rin. More on just the work we do on set. Now, we released a short the other day, which was from one of our sketch videos that we've done here.
Okay, I found the sort of cut lure. Oh, this one.
Cut. You can't keep knocking out the brazier. It's on fire.
Okay, I understand the brazier, but what's the car?
The trophy case, obviously. Do you need me to get the tape out?
No, it's okay. We're good.
Is that difficult? If it is difficult, how do you overstep it?
Like make-believe?
Yeah,
the make-believe
right?
part of it? That's the one that I always talk about, is like the biggest gift in motion capture. It's this going back to when you were a child and you just had to envision everything, and you just had to use your imagination. I mean, sure, sometimes you will be able to show me like a rough sketch of something, but I have no concept of how big it actually is, or what the dimensions are. So very often we'll just have to be like, okay, Kalle and Aldís, like, please look at the camera. That's the second left from the right, and that's going to be roughly where this is happening. And we're just hoping we're looking at the same thing, But it's all just imagination, and that's the fun part.
If you're filming a dialogue scene in a movie, a lot of the time you cut, and then 2 people are sitting at a table, and they talk, and then you cut, and they're somewhere else. Yeah. But that never happens in our game. You have to walk into and out of every scene.
That's true.
And the whole stage is small, so we often have to put in breakpoints, or we have to make sure like you circle the space a lot. Like, I don't know how often you've done a lap of the space. You know what I mean?
She's a lap girl. Oh wait!
Like you have to turn and then stand and say the line, and then turn and then the line.
Fair. I would say that's the not as fun part of the make-believe thing. Because it's such a small space, it would be incredible if it wasn't, because it can sometimes kind of disturb the flow, when you have to do something, and then like I have to pivot exactly the same way in the other direction and continue walking or something. I think sometimes I get a little confused when I feel like in my imagination, I feel like I should turn this way, and on my right is something going on, and you're like, yes, but we're doing exactly the opposite, and you're doing like the exact other direction, and that, you know, it can confuse me a little bit if I have a very specific vision, but of course I realize my vision is always going to be the wrong one, so.
Or if we've done a scene before one way,
True.
and then the level has to change.
Yeah.
So we have to go back and do it a different way.
True.
It's like, oh no, the exit is now that way.
The exits, those are the hardest ones. You have to leave on your right, and I will do something, and then I just leave.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, it was amazing, but you have to leave on the right.
Oh, and you're not allowed to walk out. You have to
I
walk.
never walk out because then it glitches.
Yeah, so you have to walk and then sort of stand in the idle pose.
Yeah, and you have to make sure that the steps you take, you're still going to stand in the right pose. Because if I have the wrong foot in front of the other, I have to make a little adjustment, and it's easier for me to like try to do it
our
right.
default idle pose is what, left foot forward?
Yes.
Because then the sword is on your back right leg. So there's always that sort of.
Yeah, so I can't end with my right foot forward. I have to like you could change it in game, but it's best if I end.
You know what's especially painful about all that? We've had to change like 70% of those exits.
No.
So somebody's had to go in
Oh my god.
like and just do, I think Hilmar did like 5 exits in one day, where it was just trying to match your walk
Yeah.
and then go into a different, or like turn in a different way because we needed to
Bless.
extend.
God bless Hilmar.
Matching walks, I swear, I can still tell whenever someone walks that isn't.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
When combat starts and we're in a cinematic, you have to like grab your sword and draw it. Some animator did it for combat, and then you do it, and those two are fairly close. But then there's a variety of other combat draws that I can always tell who's doing it based on their stance.
Since doing this game, I can't play a video game without looking for the dialogue triggers. You know,
Right.
now
right.
I know
Where's the
why they're
invisible
talking.
box?
Yeah.
Yes. Right. I mean, you guys, of course, have a more deep understanding of the programming of a game. So for me, it's kind of similar. Oh, well, well, I didn't know there was a box. So I guess for me, it's always going to be more focused on the acting bit. But sure, I think maybe now I kind of understand more, for example, things where you have to, like if you want to do this with your arms, you can't. Because that blocks the markers. So, you know, you can't do certain gestures, and now I understand why characters don't do them. So I guess it just deepened my understanding maybe of video games.
Have you noticed the thing where in video games where one person hands another person a thing and the camera never shows the hands?
Oh my god, that makes perfect sense. I think I have.
It's always this shot, and they're like, here you go, outside of frame.
Oh my god, that's right. But then also now I think I understand more, like I can see a more specific difference between like really high budget stuff and maybe more like medium or low budget stuff. So now I'm like, oh, it must be a smaller studio that made this. Like I kind of go there rather than being just like, I wonder why this game isn't as good as that game. Now I'm like, ooh, an indie, you know? But I think usually I'm just still as blown away as I always am. Like I still see, you know, people's faces, and you get the pores and you get the freckles and every goddamn wrinkle, and you're like, wow, you know, that's incredible. Like if I don't pluck my eyebrows, it will show up in game. You know what I mean? I'm still just blown away by all that stuff.
Is there a specific memorable moment in the MoCap studio, like a memorable scene, without perhaps going into too many details, but...
Well, there is the scene. I mean, a scene where I'm being pulled back. I don't think that's saying anything. Like, I'm in this harness, and I remember when we brought the harness, like, you're getting dressed in this, girl.
Yeah, it was like a spelunking harness for like rock climbing and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I've worn those on set a lot because you'll be doing a stunt and you're like looking over, especially like you're looking over and it's going to be a big fall. But like now we were using them to like pulling me back or something.
Yeah, we tied a rope to the back of it because there was like a blast that had to happen.
Yeah.
So you had to react, and whenever you fake get blasted backwards, you're leading with either your leg or the top of your head.
Exactly.
And we needed to lead with your gut.
Yeah, my core.
Yeah. So the only way to do that is to get a big rope and then get somebody at the end of it to yank you back.
And there was a scene that's where we're getting quite physical. And I remember that one because that was really hard because you have to, because unlike like cinema, you can get physical. And of course, we weren't actually hurting each other, but like you get physical. But in cinema, you know, you don't have to worry about having all these little, you know, markers on you, and the markers were flying around everywhere. Like we'd find them somewhere like on the wall or like you know, anywhere literally other than on our bodies. Like they were just the wee.
Yeah, the microphone pack.
The microphone packs, and of course you have this whole like unit in front of you as well. So I have a unit and the other person has a unit, and we have to be like pretending that we're going like this and we're going like that, and like those are the kind of scenes where I'm like, how will this look?
There's something I'm very anxious of on set is when there's a technical break, and especially if it's a difficult scene. You guys end up getting into like a headspace, and you have to get to a certain level of like raw emotionality or whatever. And this happens on film too. You know, there's something wrong with the camera or the battery or the light or whatever. But then what happens on film is we leave the actor alone, and the gaffer goes to mess with the light, or the camera crew goes to mess with the camera. But that doesn't work in a MoCap studio because you are the tech.
Yeah.
So somebody has to walk up to you, and you're there in whatever's going on, and we have to tap you because there's static electricity that we don't want to run through the equipment.
Yeah.
So we tap you, and then we're futzing with this stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that as impossible as I think it is?
I will say for myself, I wouldn't, like I said, I disassociate easily. So I wouldn't say I'm the kind of person that has a very hard time getting out of situations. Sometimes it will take me a minute to get into them, sure. But like if we're in a situation already and you're, you know, I can just kind of keep it, just store it, and then we're back on.
Then I think I mostly just want to lead out of this on a bit of a story note, but more of a personal one, because I wonder, is there something you'd hope players come out of this game feeling?
That we manage to get to a point with the audience where they feel like they get to know these characters, I think, more than anything. It's like we did not have the luxury to be able to do everything that we wanted to do. We had to be very careful with the moments we pick to introduce characters and how you can form a relationship with them and when. So I really hope that that the effort we put in to make sure that these characters resonate with people and that you feel like you get to know them and get to like them and love them, because I think we have a beautiful cast of characters that are all fascinating to get to know.
Maybe just the fact that you can change your mind about things. I think that's something we really need, to have the bravery to change your mind on things that, even if we are very secure in our beliefs, there is always the chance that what you believe is wrong.
I'd be really happy if someone comes out of this game and thinks to themselves, I should call my dad.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I think on that note, thank you so much for joining us. Stay tuned in the coming weeks. We've got a lot of exciting stuff coming up. And see you in EMA.
Echoes of the End. Wishlist now.